contending for his people. He's pleading for them, not to them. So who is he pleading to?
Listen, the pleading is like a legal metaphor, okay? It's about bringing justice against Babylon. That's what this passage is about.
Why would God plead to anyone?
You ask God that.
It's amazing. Okay, so then what? So Yahweh is pleading to the Son? He's pleading to himself. Don't they have the same mind? Why is he pleading to himself?
It's not your turn to ask questions. Don't ask questions. Answer.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
All right, guys, I have another video for you today and another fantastic debate on standing for truth with Donnie Budinsky. Can I say that right, Donnie? You'll let me know. But anyway, I have another fantastic debate that he held on Standing for Truth. And he has been having some very, very heavy hitters on lately. And I am so happy because I definitely appreciate Standing for Truth for the efforts and Donnie's efforts in putting on such fantastic debates. I appreciate my brother Donnie for doing this thing. And so this debate had Avery, also known as God Logic, Mr. Albee, Metaphysic Mike, and Andrew representing the Unitarian position, and Avery and Albee representing the Trinitarian position. So the debate encompassed basically, does the Old Testament teach the Trinity, right? And so this was a fun debate to watch, very interactive, very energized, and definitely a pleasant one because they didn't stop, man. They didn't pull no punches. They really got after each other with some very difficult and very provocative, very detailed questions. And so when a debate does that, you definitely learn to appreciate those debates a little bit more than other debates. And definitely this debate had that very, very, very much. And so it was definitely exciting, very fun, filled debate. And so those are some of my thoughts. I thought the debate went very well. I thought it was well done. And once again, these opponents definitely got after each other. I've had Avery on my show, Albee on my show, and Andrew on my show. So Metaphysic Mike, I just call you Mike. Let me know when you're ready, man. I would love to have you on the Gospel Truth. All right, to get you a debate opponent. So let me know. Hit me up, man. I think you sent me a friend request on Facebook, so hit me up. But nonetheless, I did overall think the debate went very well. It was a fun debate to watch. And so what I wanted to do is interact with two portions of this debate. Both of them are in cross-examination. One is Avery and Albee controlling the cross-examination by asking questions, and then another one was Mike and Andrew's opportunity to control the conversation and cross-examination as well. And so with this first one, a little bit of context, Avery starts off asking Mike about what is the definition of malak, the Hebrew term malak, and which is messenger. But Avery was pressing that question, and what it did is sort of allowed Albee to come in and piggyback off of that to examine Mike and Andrew's understanding as it concerns Jeremiah, and I think he involved Zechariah in there too. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play that interaction and then sort of get my thoughts here and there about that interaction. All right, so with that said, let's get right into it.
Verse 34, it says, their Redeemer is strong, Yahweh of hosts is his name. He will thoroughly plead their case, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. So when Israel is in Babylonian captivity, it says Yahweh, their Redeemer, will plead their case. Who does Yahweh plead their case to, and where in Scripture can we find the fulfillment of this?
All right, so before we allow Mike and Andrew to respond to this, I just want to make sure you guys understand what Albee's arguing here. Notice God Logic, Avery, he first started the questioning by trying to define the understanding of an angel, right? Or malak, right? How is malak defined? It means messenger, right? That's all it means. It means messenger. And now this idea of malak can be used in the human sense of a messenger or in the angel sense of a messenger. And so that's how Avery started off the questioning. Just define malak. And now we have Albee jumping in and applying that same understanding, that same logic to the verse in Jeremiah chapter 35, right? And so that's what he's doing here. And so he wants, what Albee is about to do, Albee is attempting to try to see if the Unitarians are going to be consistent, in their understanding of this verse, because it says Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, pleads his case, right? Who is he pleading to, right? The Yahweh, Lord of hosts, is not going to plead his case to humans, right? He's only going to, if there's anything, right? The only idea of Yahweh even pleading himself would be pleading his case to maybe the triune God of Scripture, right? The second person of the Trinity, the other people, the other persons within the Godhead, right? And so that's what Albee is attempting to show and display in this questioning, because once again, Andrew and Metaphysic Mike, they have to reconcile the idea of Yahweh, the Lord of hosts. Now they can't say that Yahweh is not God, right? Because they're Unitarians, right? So they agree that Yahweh, that's God. That's God. That's who he is. That's who it is. So they have to deal with this. And so this is what Albee wanting them to do. He's attempting to try to pigeonhole them and corner them into the idea of who is Yahweh pleading to? Would this Yahweh plead to humans, or would he plead to the second person in the Trinity, or another person within the Trinity? So that's what Albee is doing here. So let's see how Andrew and Metaphysic Mike respond.
If you want to make an argument, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering what are you getting at there?
I'm asking you a question.
Does anybody know?
I'm asking an argument. You're not making an argument. Make an argument.
He asked a question. It's a cross-examination. He asked a question.
So who does Yahweh argument? You haven't argued for this in your opening debate.
Andrew, don't waste my time. Andrew, don't waste my time. I need you to answer.
Our time. Make an argument.
Answer the question. Who is Yahweh pleading to on behalf of Israel in captivity in Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 34?
We don't know. Go ahead and make your argument.
You don't know. Well, guess what? Wow. We know. Here's the fulfillment of that verse. Zechariah chapter 1, verse 12 and 13. Then the angel of Yahweh answered and said, O Yahweh of hosts, how long will you not have mercy on Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, against which you were angry these 70 years?
You just refuted yourself.
Beautiful. Hold on one second. So here we have the angel pleading the case on behalf of Israel, and as soon as he does, they're released from captivity. Moreover, even in Zechariah chapter 3, why is the angel of the Lord forgiving sins in heaven?
Okay, wait a second. No, let's.
So you see what happened there, right? So Albee goes to the cross-reference verse that shows the fulfillment of this plead, right? These 70 years, captivity, will you not give them release, right? Will you not deprive them from the agony of this captivity? And so we see that is the angel of the Lord pleading the case on behalf of Israel to the Lord. And so this is Albee is a bit of a whiz when it comes to this, right? He's a bit of a whiz as it comes to these references. These are a lot of verses that are sort of sometimes glossed over, and you really don't pay much attention to them sometimes. But Albee is a bit of a whiz when it comes to this, man. I've learned a lot from Albee in the way that he structures his argumentation and how he uses this to benefit his argument. And so I've learned a lot from Albee in the way that he does this. And so what he's doing is just taking verses that are typically sometimes glossed over, not really paid much attention to, and uses these verses to make a strong argument for the Trinitarian position. And so I think he does a fantastic job at this. And so the thing is that I don't know why Andrew and Mike said, I don't know. They should have known that this was a gotcha question. They should have known that this was a gotcha question, and they're instead of dealing with the question head on, they say, "Oh, I don't know." No, you know. Come on, man. You know, Albee is getting at somewhere, right? He's getting at something. So it'd have been much better if Mike and Andrew would at least took a swing at the answer to answer this question. But let's see what else they have to say here.
Let's address that first thing first. Okay, I had to bring this up. Okay, first off, the word there is plead, and that can mean to contend, to bring lawsuit, to advocate. Beautiful. Okay, so that's God. So that's God acting as like a legal defender or a judge. Okay,
to who?
Okay, not before another God or person.
So to who? Okay, hold on now.
But why not? That's the question. Why is it not that? Mike, you can't let your presupposition stop you from coming to a proper conclusion now. You can't do that, because sometimes what we do, we put up the guardrails, right? We'll see the path something is leading to, and what we'll do, we'll throw up the guardrails and say, oh no, it can go any other direction, but it can't go this way, right? So we'll throw up the guardrails to prevent the logical conclusion to play out. But Mike, I want Mike to be able to like let those guardrails down and just let the evidence lead you to where it goes. I think that's the proper way to exegete the scripture. Don't impose your theology on it. Allow the exegeting of the text to lead you where it needs to go, or where it is going to go. Let's not throw up the guardrails and stop it.
I mean, thank you for telling us who it's not. Now answer the question. To who? Who is he pleading to? Who is he
I believe it says his people, so that would be Israel.
It doesn't say his people. He's not. He's contending for his people. He's pleading for them, not to them. So who is he pleading to?
Listen, the pleading is like a legal metaphor. Okay, it's about bringing. It's about bringing justice against Babylon.
I mean, that's a great definition, but I don't think that's the case that Albee and Avery are making here. They're not asking for you to define the idea of plead. They're asking, who is the Yahweh of hosts? Who is he pleading to, right? Who is he pleading to? That's the question. Not a simple definition of what pleading means. Who is he pleading to? And Albee is going to respond and finish off this question here.
That's what this passage is about.
Why would God plead to anyone?
You ask God that.
That's the question.
It's amazing. Okay, so then what? So Yahweh is pleading to the Son? He's pleading to himself. Don't they have the same mind? Why is he pleading to himself?
It's not your turn to ask questions. Don't ask questions. Answer.
Oh, you're right. You're right. My bad.
Avery, notice what they said. They said that.
That's not how.
Hold on one second. Who would Yahweh ever plead to? Who would he ever plead to? Well, again, that's for you to answer. Who would he plead to?
Well, let me tell you the problem.
Because hold on one second. You didn't have an answer for this. So
I don't know your argument. I don't know your argument.
Wait a minute.
I wanted to know your argument.
Wait a minute.
I know your argument. I'm going to tell you why your argument is full.
Hold on one second. I'm going to ask you again. Does Jehovah plead? Yes or no?
It depends on what you mean by that. You're assuming that he's pleading to someone else. That's your assumption you brought to the text.
Then you tell me, who is he pleading to? What does that word mean? Who is he pleading to?
I just told you it's his people, Israel. Pleading is like, let me stop cutting me off. I'm answering your question. I answered you. I said it's his people, which is Israel. This is like part of a legal metaphor. Okay, it's about God bringing justice against Babylon. There is zero indication that this is like Yahweh addressing another divine person within himself. This is just like another esoteric, weird outlier passage.
Albee, do us a favor. Can you read the verse one more time? Slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 34.
Oh, man.
Their Redeemer is strong. Yahweh of hosts is his name. He will thoroughly plead their case that he may give rest to the land.
Pause there. Whose case is he pleading, Mike? Or Andrew?
I'm telling you that this is metaphorical for Israel.
See, that's not a good response. I mean, we can't lie to. This is the thing, guys. Whenever we hear people say this is metaphorical for this, metaphorical for that, what does that do? This is the avenue for them to spread the definition out, right? To instead of focusing on what the text clearly says, that the angel of hosts or the Lord of hosts, Yahweh of hosts, is pleading their case. He's pleading the case for Israel. It's not Israel pleading the case for themselves, right? They use the term metaphor. Oh, that's just metaphorical. What does that do? That layers on top of them some indirect meaning, and what it does, it opens the floodgates for all sorts of meanings, right? And so context dictates if something's a metaphor, allegorical, poetic, right? Context dictate that, but we don't see the context illustrating anything that's metaphorical, right? This is a historical narrative in its nature. So there is no indication in this particular portion of verse that indicates or leans to the understanding that this is some sort of metaphor. I do believe that Mike is being a bit dishonest in this part of the interaction, and that he will not answer the question in the correct understanding, in the correct way. Obviously, this is a debate. He's going to do whatever he can to debate against the supposed conclusion, but he's going to argue against the possible conclusion of it being the other person within the Godhead. But at least if you're going to refute the position, let's make sure we do it with honesty, innocence. Not saying that he's a mean person or he's just being some villain or trying to be extremely dishonest as he can. No, but I think that it's not he's not properly dealing with what the text says in this particular portion of the discussion here.
Okay, so he's pleading the case for Israel, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, he's pleading the case for Israel, not to Israel, for Israel. Now, here's the next question. Who is he pleading to?
He's just acting.
I told you against Babylon. It's like metaphorical. It's about bringing justice against Babylon.
I appreciate it. So the enemy is Babylon. So he's pleading his case for Israel against Babylon to who?
I literally just told you. You rephrased what I said. I just told you he's pleading for Israel to Babylon in this metaphorical. He's being like, why do you keep cutting me off, man? What's with this cutting me off? Okay, listen. We're just gonna keep repeating ourselves here. We've given you an answer. If you don't like it, you could just move on.
Yeah, so Yahweh is leading to Babylon.
I want to respond.
This is it, folks. This is the verse that obviously God is a plurality. Who's he pleading to? Who's he pleading to, guys? This is weak.
Don't waste our time.
This is why this was such a fun debate, guys. This is really a fun debate to watch because look how active they are. I love it. I love the energy. I love how they're going at each other, man. But they're doing it in a manner that's not vindictive. It's not mean. It's not angry. It's not hateful. They're just being aggressive with each other, man. And that's a fun part of these debates is that you see this level of aggression, but it's a fun-filled, fun-filled, energetic aggression towards each other that is nothing but fun-filled interaction. Right. Unfortunately, we don't see that a lot. Right. We don't see that in a lot of debates. A lot of debates tend to lean towards I'm going to destroy you. I'm angry with you. They're aggressive to the point of anger. But this is a very, very fun filled debate. And I really enjoyed it. But I'm going to conclude this portion of the debate. But I did want to interact with another portion of the debate here and where it is now Mike and Andrew who are in the controlling seat and questioning Avery and Albee, and I want to interact with this. So let's see how this questioning starts here.
I'm going to be focusing a lot on Avery because we have a debate in like 4 days, right? So you can get it then, but I'm joking. So you're welcome to join in, but I'm going to focus on Avery.
Yeah, but remember Romans 14, verse 4 and 5 says that Avery and I are one mouth and one mind. Oh, but wait, how can we be one mouth and one mind? We're two distinct persons.
Okay. So, all right, let's lay some groundwork. All right, so Avery, are the persons of the Trinity fully and equally God?
Yeah.
Okay, are the persons of the Trinity truly distinct, meaning that Jesus is not the Father in like any sense?
They are distinct in personhood, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So would you agree that the Hebrew Bible does describe Yahweh using singular pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and suffixes like over 20,000 times?
I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it uses singular pronouns.
Okay, would you say it uses them like the majority of the time? Sure. Okay, could you give me like a number? Like how much more do you think it uses singular versus plural?
I don't know.
Okay, it's like 99.9% to 1.01%. Okay, so if God is actually tripersonal, the first thing I'd like to know is why don't the writers of Scripture actually use plural pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and suffixes just as much, if not more, than the singular ones?
Now, this type of question attempts to try to pigeonhole the Trinitarian into a corner and saying, hey, what do we expect Trinitarian language? What do we expect plurality throughout every time they reference God? If the Trinity is true, why would we see so much singularities being used, right? Why do we not see plurality more being used? And so this question to the untrained ear is a very perplexing question It's a question that could cause a lot of problems within the Trinitarian position if the person is not trained to the language of that's being used here, this type of argument. And so it's fascinating only in the sense that it is a difficult question for those who are not trained in the area of apologetics, who don't know how to respond to it. But at the same time, it's a question that's a very unimpressive question to the trained ear, in that it's a very easy question to respond to, right? Especially if you know how the ontology of God works and how the nature of God works, right? If you know the understanding of these type of concepts of God, then you know how to respond to this question here, right? And so let's see how Avery responds to this question at hand.
That's assuming that they have to. They don't have to do that. The fact that they use plural pronouns, plural adjectives, plural verbs, plural nouns for Yahweh demonstrates that they have an idea that Yahweh is a plurality of persons. They use it multiple times throughout the Old Testament. You got examples that Albee talked about. You also have, Genesis 19:24, where Yahweh on earth rained down sulfur and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. So we got examples like this.
Okay, so you can count those passages on like your hands and feet, though. Okay, so these are like a real minority. Yeah, there's very few. So
yeah, and Avery bring up a good point here. It seems as though Metaphysic Mike is attempting to try to undermine those few verses, according to him, those few verses that point to plurality, and say, well, because there's not as many plural verses being used versus singular verses being used, then therefore it's not really a big deal. It's it's an anomaly, right? It's not really that a big it's not that big of a argument against the singularity verses that use singularities. And so, well, it's not really substantial. It's not really a strong position to hold. It's not really an important position to hold, in a sense, because they use singular verses are used more than singularity than plurality, right? And so it doesn't matter. The point is that they're being used, right? If God is to be used, if the term God or Yahweh or certain words are used in a singular sense and not in a plural sense, why even use plural in the first place if God is supposed to be viewed in a singular sense, right? That's the point that Avery is making.
You're right, it doesn't make it false, but if the writers are trying to teach us that God is one person, they would actually do what the scriptures show. They would speak of God using singular pronouns, adjectives, suffixes, and then every now and then, for really a host of different specific reasons, could use plural ones.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that you're causing a problem for yourself, because hyper focusing on where they use singular pronouns, adjectives, and verbs for God while ignoring the plural. The times they do it using in the plurality, you have a problem as a Unitarian. You have to demonstrate and justify why is it, if they're so hell bent on demonstrating that Yahweh is only one person, why in the world are they confusing us by using plural adjectives, plural nouns, and plural verbs when it comes to Yahweh? That's what you have to justify. You got to sit with that.
Yeah, and I think Avery bring up a good point here, is that if they're so hell-bent on this, showing God in a singular sense and not plural sense, why even use that? Why confuse the reader, right? And once again, this is no problem for the Trinitarian, right? I'm going to end the video here, but there is no problem. That's not a problem for the Trinitarian. The Trinitarian understands God in a singular sense and in a plural sense. God could be understood in a singular sense from the Trinitarian position, because we understand that God is one in unity, not one in person, but one in unity. So the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is one in unity. So that's why we can look at this, the singular pronouns of God being Yahweh or God being used in singular pronouns, and we can deduce and say, oh, this is talking about the unity of the Godhead, right? The unity of the persons. And then when we see God or words being used in a plural sense that refers to God, we can say, well, obviously the writers attempted to bring distinctions between the persons, right, of the Godhead. And so this is not a problem for the Trinitarian position. And so overall, I did think the debate went very well. I enjoyed it, Donnie. Big ups to you, buddy, because you killed it this time. And you kill it all. You kill it a lot of times, man. So it's all good. I appreciate your efforts in hosting these debates. And Avery, Albee, Mike, Andrew, great job. I appreciate you guys' efforts. And once again, thank you for putting on a fantastic debate. I love interacting with these debates. And so if you guys have yet to do so, go to Standing for Truth and check out the debate. I hope you guys enjoy it. And so with all that said, that's all I have for you. And if you have yet to do so, make sure you subscribe to The Gospel Truth and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any shows that are coming up here in the future. May God bless you and may God keep you.